Բարև
Բարև ձեզ։
Բարև ձեզ։
Ինչից եք խոսում։
Բարև ձեզ։
Անգլերենի նախագծայինից։
Դե հա, պետքա շուտ վերջացնենք։ Դե թեման արդեն ընտրել ենք Vedi-ի հին մշակույթն է, բայց դե նյութեր որտեղից ենք հավաքելու չգիտեմ։
Գիտեք, ես ճիշտ ասած մի քանի բան լսել եմ Վեդու հին մշակույթի մասին, բայց կոնկրետ հստակ տեղեկություններ չունեմ։ Ինձ տատիկս սա պատմություններ պատմել Վեդիի մշակույթի մասին, բայց դե մեզ գրավոր փաստեր են պետք։
Իմ կարծիքով ամենահետաքրքիր տեղը գրադարանն է, որ կարող են տեղեկություններ հավաքել, քանի որ հին ամսագրեր եւ գրքեր կան։
Համել այնտեղ մտնոլորտը մեզ կտրամադրի աշխատել։ Գուցե նոր բաներ գտնենք։
Գնացինք։
Գնացինք։
Theatre is a world where people come to witness the lives of others, but often find their own soul instead. It is a space where emotion speaks out loud, and truth emerges through the voices of characters. Theater makes us think, feel, and remember that being human is already the greatest role on this stage.
Je vous parle d'un temps que les moins de 20 ans ne peuvent pas connaître. Montmartre en ce temps-là.
For them, theater was a hobby. They were not professional actors, but in the hands of talented directors, they became professionals. The people loved them and never missed a single performance. As a result of their professional acting and popularity, in the late 1950s, the theater of Vedi settlement was awarded the title of People's Theater. Actors who performed from the 1950s to 1993. Ambik Safaryan, Nathakan Sianosyan, Sirush Ghazaryan, Razmik Muradyan, Yeva Gharibyan, Larisa Barsegyan, Khachik Stambulsyan, Razmik Khosroyev, Gagik Bogosyan, Karen Mirzoyan and others. Directors: Ruben Arzumanyan, Revik Sargsyan, Samvel Mikhaelyan, Hrachi Gabozyan. List of performances: The Hunt of Lalvar, Anna and Karl, Nightly Turmoil, The Staff, Roses in Blood, Pardasar Akhbar, and so on. Their calling was to be actors.
Tu es jolie, la bohème, et nous avions tous du génie. Souvent il m'arrivait devant mon chevalet de passer des nuits blanches, retouchant le dessin de la ligne d'un sein, du galbe d'une hanche, et ce n'est qu'au matin qu'on s'asseyait enfin devant un café crème. Épuisé mais ravi, fallait-il que l'on s'aime et qu'on aime la vie. La bohème, ça voulait dire on a 20 ans. La bohème, et nous vivions de l'air du temps. Quant au hasard des jours, je m'en vais faire un tour.
Today, we will talk about theater. Let's go back 16 years and find ourselves in the performance hall of the Vedi Village People's Theater. Nathakan Sianosyan is playing the role of a blind man. I tried to dig into his memories connected with the theater. Mr. Sianosyan says that they came from Yerevan in 1953. At that time, there was a house of culture in Yerevan, where he attended theatrical classes, rehearsals, and so on. Then he would go to a college, where a short-statured director, as Grant Pematso noted, would stage performances. Later, that same director offered Mr. Matso a role and saw that he had real talent. That's how he found himself in the Vedi theater. Ambik was an actor, and there was no other talented actress like Sirush. Many of them weren't actors at all, but under the hands of skilled directors, they became talented performers. He shared that many plays were staged. For instance, Baghdasar Akhbar was performed in Sovedashan. Grant Pematso told funny and interesting facts. They were supposed to stage another performance in Sovedashan. Vrui, the director, had warned that if vodka entered the theater, the performance would be cancelled. In that play, the servant Ofik is told, "Go get some brandy, bring vodka." Usually in such cases, they would fill the bottles with water and tea. but Haikas went and filled it vodka instead of water. Only Haikas and Grandpa Mateo knew about it. There was a skinny guy, Hendo, who wasn't warned that it was actually vodka. During the performance, he drank it and started swearing. We tried to save the situation, said Grandpa Mateo, laughing. Rui was a brilliant director. No matter how much a person wants to keep the vivid memories of the past alive in their mind, with age even that ability fades. They were born to be actors.
In 1873, when Cheyenne Martin was working as a director of house culture, the institution was experiencing a decline. The theater, which existed since the 1950s, had received a democratic name. The staff of House of Culture decided to restore the theater actively since it was in poor condition and at risk closing. They began jetting out of theatrical performance and staged The Lame Woman. Without that direction, they managed to achieve everything on their own. Later, experts for Yerevan came, evaluated the performance and approved its realization. The staff of House of Culture Vedi, different people and worked with them to say they could participate in the performance. Thanks to the House Culture, Vedi cultural scene expanded revival. Various groups were established, including their group and vocal ensemble led by Arthur Stambleton. Cultural life in Vedi became more vibrant. After that, numerous performances were staged. Sometime later, Samuel Mikhailian was from Yerevan as a work direction. He gladly accepted position and staged by Roses and Men, which defied revolution. At that time, a publishing house called Arad operated in Vedi. Famous actors in the performance included Larissa Barcena and Cheyenne Martin and others. The performance brought great success in Vedi cultural life. Estrada groups led by Koren Palyan, Lucine and Eva Gharibian also began performing in Vedi. Music expresses that which cannot be put into words, and that which cannot remain silent.
This is a personal reflection shared by Nare Tonoyan in the involvement in the cultural life of Vedi. Her journey began through the influence of her mother, a student Vanush Khanamirian and Tartyusha Karapetyan. Enslaved by her, Nare joined Mrs. Karine dance ensemble, which later became the Rubinian school. However, a passion extended beyond dance to influence singing, event hosting, and script writing. Nare emphasizes the support they received from Mr. Stambulchan, the longtime director of the Vedi House Culture, who played a significant role in her artistic development, helping explore every aspect and statement. One of her cherished memories is Musical Thursday, a series of events that featured like quality performances, stage presence, and outdated engagement. These gatherings were pivotal in shaping her artistic path, allowing into her overcome challenge. For Nare, their years were not merely a series of events but way of life. She now hopes to pace intelligence and future generations. We had a pleasant conversation with Gor Mabdirusyan, we took know from the TV series Vanakum, reflecting on the roots of the theatre in Vedi, in shared that rhetorical life there began long before they was born, with active performances and the rich culture scene. Gor spoke fondly of late actress Sirush Ilyasaryan, now the Grandma Sirush, appeasing that those impressive in Promate are should always be remembered. Their efforts inspired Gor and Arthur to get involved in music. His role as Jamshriyan in Banakum remains in Kara high life, remembered fondly when after 16 years. When asked what Gor found change in the Ondas culture, Gor replied, I would simple one the post in return. He said that even though Bactani culture in Vedi was seen through the black and white lessons, there was still flower and soul in it. One on was chasing after something within shallow. They are live and conveyed in the tract art.
At the time, the culture house did not have prep building conditions. Because the conditions were unstable, the location of the culture house constantly changing. The old culture house was built in 1936. There is an interesting story linked to the culture house. When concerts were organized in the hall, there was no need for a microphone. The sound from the background was as clean as that from the front. Began credit, Arthur Tambatian wanted to know everything. He went up to the roof and discovered that the roof, as ordinary house, had not been built in the usual way. Instead, it had been connected using two beams, and there was also a stone struck on which the flooring was laid, resulting in an easing of the sound. When the building was to be recovered and was torn down in order to proper conditions, they later noticed that the building had no furniture and all. A new furniture was established and building was away. Arthur Tabotian served as the director of the Vedi Culture House for 27 years. The Vedi Culture House had a strong tradition of organizing events such as flower festival, jangulum, and host competitions, which were held furniturely in 109,000 under Arthur Tabotian's leadership. A group called Canoner, consisting of careful and organized individuals was formed with most of the villages in the region. From the 2000s onward, the Canoner group had already entered sports and began organizing events in the city of Artashat, with many more groups emerging over time. Arthur Tambotian's first piano teacher was Anaid, whom they did as expensive instructor. Later, when Arthur moved to the street band, he gained a new blood teacher, Arthur Grishi Aksusian, who had studied at the Theatre University before the revelation and after the revelation. He and all the students revived first training. The first teacher performance that was started was the Happy Boys, which was the first vocal group of its time. The street band was Beth and Arthur Tamosian, who is having learning many things from his teacher. include how the slower solfeggio and note writing problem suits simple methods. Arthur also cracked the ensemble Aitikler, Little Candles. According to him, this group fetched only two older boys from concert, and since they had Tuesday off, his students reckoned they also be a concert on Tuesday. Consequently, the director organized concert near the city lake close to the Pioneer Palace. The take already been conditioned, filled with water and filled with bricks. The students would be an instrument play and sing there. The Isigner group often performed on television, and that time it was the only group and was very known. Cold ceilings were hung over the take since an unsightable have not yet been built. Of the Vedi, nearly arrest would come. Vedi and nearly arrest would come and get about the lake or it forming a creek, because the Tuesday concert according only once a week. People would even come during the summer and stay perfect, since it was important to always stand and unpretty was built and impeded after the concert. The events were moved there, it can be said. The form pupil is also a kind of exhibition where they could show their talents and so on. The conditions of the amphitheater proved even better. The conditions since people can finally be studying. In Vedic culture has been at a high level. There was also a cinema house in Vedi, which was to give a dramatic name. People came from visual place to watch the production of Vedi theater. It was even said that the Vedi theater was better than the one in Artashat, and grateful people began attending Vedi's performance. The Vedi theater was very popular among the public, and empty podium reminded.
Hello, I am Stambultian Tamar. Culture has different definitions for me at different times. Culture can be the person with their ethics, aesthetics, and way of life. I have different cultural people for me, and I will mention those people names, such as Khachatryan Orbel's father, Vargas Khachatryan, Simak Manukyan, the head of Vedi Painting School, Michigan Yerishe. These people are working culture for me. Culture was more developed in 1990s. Those years are called years of enthusiasm. Even though there was no technology of the possibilities we have today, there was enthusiasm. Back then you did it yourself, but today technology does it. In those dark years, screenplays were written in dark rooms. Festivals organized, meaning it wasn't necessary to be a worker culture house to present a new program. If you had an idea and culture in you, you did it. I had a studio at that time. The municipality gave me a studio where I work with children. In Yerevan, there were two festivals during those years under Armenia's first program, which are the Silver K and Do Re Mi. And thus through me, the flow began towards the Silver K, Do Re Mi, and talented children. By 1997, the group became 20 children. I wrote more than 100 songs for them. In 1999, I organized a festival in Vedi which involved children from the region. It lasted for a year with the first phase and second phase. The plot was written by me and Arthur Stambultian, and we were assisted by Tigran Bagdasaryan, Orbel Khachatryan, and others. I consider this to be culture, meaning if everyone thinks about creating culture, culture is created. Naret Onoyan has always been by my side, and all of this was done for free for our own pleasure. Today, Naret Onoyan is a multi-talented girl who does many things, but believe me, back then she did it all just out of passion. When I was organizing the Walking Miracle Beauty Contest for 3 from 6 year olds, anyone who could help us so did. Ampik Safarian, Vahagan were artists, and everyone contributed whatever way they can. The culture developed rapidly, even though we didn't have the cultural house. For us, the cinema house served as a cultural hall. The music studio was a novelty in Vedi city, and it was not only for the children from Vedi, but also children from the surrounding region. In 1994, we created a Kavin model. More specifically, Arthur made it with boys, I will mention. And at that time, it was a new thing for the region. A jury came from Yerevan and everything was at a high level. Even Sharon came to sit with us as jury. And later his sons invited us to Yerevan where we performed a 10-minute comedy show. When I wrote the song for Vedi City, first I wrote the chorus and Michaela Naraik wrote the lyrics for the song. That song became very popular and well known in Vedi, and there were children from Yerevan who wanted to take the song and perform it as a group, but I didn't give it them because the song was already playing in different places in Vedi, and I didn't want to give it for that reason. The arrangement was done by Martin Mirzoyan. When the song was first performed at the amphitheater, famous people from Yerevan had come and they were surprised, asking, "Who are these people singing? What is this song?" The song was sung by me, my daughter, Martin Mirzoyan, and Gor Martirosyan. Later I started hosting my shows, and one of these called Who's Who. In the 1990s, Nare and her friends, Anushik, Susik and others, used together, and it was amazing to see what a great group formed, how excited they were singing different places. Back then, everyone came together, became a united force, and good things were done for the city. Even now, it's still possible to do great things. I had opened a song theater in the studio, meaning we would stage the songs. If you take on a student, you must take a responsibility. The child has already now what is stage about, and not just take money and be done with it. The hymn of Vedi has a very interesting story. During the time of Varush Barseghian, it was decided that a hymn should be written for Vedi. The song I wrote is often confused with the hymn of Vedi, but it was simply a song they decided to Vedi. I wrote the hymn of Vedi in just 10 minutes. I start with the chorus. We used to take the children to the Aspire studio where they would record. Then we realized that we need to have our own equipment, so we wouldn't to take so many children to Yerevan. The studio was provided us by Norik Vartanyan. At that time, Manvel Ghazarian provided us with computer. And the municipality was very supportive. They would provide us with the bus, money when need, and so on. Even Nadia once invited us to Yerevan, where we could have moved forward and become artists. But we stayed here because we believed that we were needed here. The culture of Vedi was very colorful for me the Soviet years. All the villages at that time had folk instrument assemblies, pop music groups, dance groups, and theatrical groups. Vedi had a very good theatrical group. In our years, culture had a growing color for me, meaning, for example, like the color of soil. It's like when you plant a seed, it sprouts and gradually grows.
The strength of a nation is measured by its culture. Culture is not just the heritage of the past, but the foundation of the future.